Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So today I wanted to be just kind of bitchy and just do like a quicker video because we've had like a lot of very, very long videos in the past stream of days. But I still wasn't quite done with Anna. So I wanted to just go ahead and read some of the comments on the podcast, especially the negative ones. So I feel like we're all down for a little bit of tea, a little bit of toxicity. I also just want to see how it's being received. So I'll read a couple of the positive ones, like this first one. Yes, 5 stars. The podcast we have needed for so long. Thank you for bringing this to us so we know we are not alone fighting these weird medical battles. So Anna told her audience to leave a bunch of positive reviews. So there are quite a few positive ones, but as you can see, there's a lot of very negative ones. I actually rated it a 1 star, honestly. I'm not I'm not trying to encourage anybody to do that. That's kind of toxic. But I did, personally, I did. So let's go ahead and read the negative ones because I know we're all here for negativity. So, typical lies. Anna O'Brien is delusional if she thinks her medical conditions are why she can't lose weight. As a physician, this episode contains unfortunate misinformation regarding lipedema and obesity genes. Neither one of these diagnoses prevent significant and sustainable weight loss. These are not death sentences. Dr. Nance doesn't bother to fact check the story, which is dangerous for other patients that have these conditions. Anna is not a medical mystery. She's a food addict that needs help. Whew. Like I said, I personally would say somebody who has E followed by the letter D, but I get that in most people that don't have that, they can't quite see the difference. So I'm just going to let that go for now. Medical misinformation. Irresponsible for the medical doctor who is hosting to not do her due diligence of researching the claims of her co-host. I fear for impressionable listeners. I'm going to say I talked to a lot of people in my life that have been watching the videos and stuff, and they really were like, it is wild how there's no pushback from this doctor. I do think it's pretty crazy. I do. No detective work here. Feels like a podcast created for the host to platform her own sob story. I'm unsure why the physician is even here, as she has little to no presence in the podcast itself. She occasionally chimes in to offer a definition of a medical term. There is no in-depth research or deep dive. This is a vanity project for all involved. Ooh, we're going to just keep going. I know you guys love it. I know you do. I know you do. Misinformation and pseudoscience. Before I start, I have battled obesity my entire adult life, and I also have lipedema. Anna O'Brien is not a medical mystery of any sort. What's true is she does have lipedema. I have it and can easily spot it. That her lipedema is painful and frustrating. Even though I manage mine well, I have days where it really brings me down. What's also true is she's battled obesity most of her life. There's where the truths end. Anna did absolutely nothing to manage her lipedema until it got to stage 4. She documented her life pretty well online, and never once did we see her wear any kind of compression garments, following any kind of anti-inflammatory diet, or doing the exercise that's actually recommended, which is low impact. And she has failed to do the one thing that doctors urge all of us women with lipedema to do: lose weight. Thank you. I mean, I know that it's not my job to say that, but I appreciate somebody with lipedema saying it. Because yes, absolutely. It's the most critical thing to do to manage this condition. While it's true that lipedema fat cannot be lost through diet and exercise, she is not as large as she is without a significant amount of regular fat also. She has plenty of burnable fat left, and if she was truly serious about feeling better, she'd do everything in her power to lose the weight. Instead, she jumps straight to surgery, which isn't even recommended until you've done all the things: lose weight, wear compression daily, follow an anti-inflammatory diet, do low-impact exercise, etc. It's extremely irresponsible of her to send the message that if you have lipedema and are morbidly obese, you cannot lose weight. You can. I'm down almost 90 pounds so far. Countless other women in my support groups have also. Anna, unfortunately, is going to continue to hurt and feel miserable until she faces the truth about her eating habits, yes, and her weight. If she doesn't, I fear she'll be fully disabled in no time. I'm grossly disappointed to see her spewing such outright nonsense, but then again, with her history of lies, it isn't surprising. People are pissed. I will say it was tough to listen to sometimes, and especially the end, it was horrible. That's my review. The end was horrible. It was almost unbearable. It felt like she was trying to act like she's in a sci-fi novel and she's like the next freaking, I don't even know. She's like a cyborg that they're going to do research on or something. Like it totally left reality, in my opinion, around the end. It was crazy. Not my cup of tea. Or maybe this isn't up my alley. I'm an ED nurse, and this sounds like a rambling triage patient. This seems like an odd choice for medical mystery. The timeline was not well defined, which made the story confusing, and I would have been interested to hear more of the physician's input. I don't know if I'll continue to listen if it's purely patient-only stories without research. Okay. Would have loved a 360 view, a point/counterpoint. Nothing rings more true than when a hypothesis is put to the test and the tires get kicked. Until then, without medical consensus, it's conjecture. Interesting. No real medicine involved. Not science, not medicine. Crazy. Oh, gosh. This did not go well. I mean, I'm just reading the negative ones because, like I said, I know we're here for it. So I'm doing it. We're going for it. Okay, medical misinformation. I've been following Anna for a few years, and this woman is deeply afraid of being held accountable for her own eating habits. At 40 years old, she simply refuses to admit her diet is atrocious. I agree. She's not 550 pounds of lipedema, no matter how hard she wants to believe that. For Dr. Nance to just sit there and allow Anna to ramble on and on with no corrections is insane. Anna needs psychiatric help along with inpatient treatment. Yes, I agree. She needs some kind of psychological intervention. I really think so. She was able to lose weight on Wegovy, which she absolutely tried to hide from her audience, so it's not impossible for her to lose weight. This was a ridiculous episode, and I'm extremely disappointed in Dr. Nance for allowing Anna to misinform her audience. Ooh, pass. If you like medical misinformation and hosts that like the smell of their own farts, then this podcast is for you. I always like the ones where they're kind of in between, too. If a show is going to purport to being detectiving, I do expect some actual detective work. Anna's story, quote unquote, is just a narrative of one patient's perspective on their health journey, which is fine, but it's not a deep dive of any kind in either medicine or research or science. There's a doctor present in this episode, but there isn't a lot of medical information offered from that side. The doctors seem to be there just to receive the narrative. I got more from a Google search, and on top of that, there's some weirdness in this story. Sorry. It comes across as lacking depth, and some of the claims seem like misinformation, just blatantly unscientific or confusing. Seems like that might be a place for detective work to be done, but the narrative just rolls on instead. I would have appreciated pushback myself. I would have. Yes, the hosts are stilted and overly scripted, but that can be excused given it's only episode 1. It's the lack of depth that frustrates. I also find it confusing. If this person has more than one endocrine issue, why was there no endocrinology research even cited, let alone a researcher interviewed? I think it was kind of lazy a little bit, to be honest. Medical misinformation, beware. One non-medical host continually implies that they have rare, mysterious obesity genes, and the actual doctor on the podcast provides no evidence or even minimal explanations as to what these mysterious genes are or why the non-medically trained host has these conditions. What is the point of this podcast? Oh my God. Mystery solved. If you ever wondered why Anna is ... the way she is, this episode provides a lot of insight. Whew. Medical misinformation. This show consists of compulsive lying by a woman who should be on an episode of My 600-Pound Life. Oh my God. Instead of a podcast giving medical misinformation that goes unchecked by a licensed physician. This is unethical. Whew, that was brutal. Junk podcast. If you want no valid medical information and no medical detective work, this is the podcast for you. This first episode covers a woman who defies the laws of thermodynamics in an attempt to explain away her responsibility for having become obese and dodge normal dieting and exercise. No information from a doctor at all. There were times during the podcast where I was like, she is breaking her back, reaching to try not to have any kind of connection to her eating habits. She would not even really talk about it, which again, the silence behind that, it speaks volumes, especially for me as somebody that has experience with that E followed by the letter D. Part of it is being so secretive, and it's very obvious how secretive she was. I don't know if she realizes how obvious that was, but it was. At least to me, it was. What was that? I had never heard of this influencer before, so I listened without any biases or knowledge of what this show would be about. All I heard was someone crying and discussing about things potentially wrong with her medically. And the doctor, the other host of the show, just listened to this odd story. I didn't really feel like there was a conclusion to wrap up the medical mystery in the first inaugural episode. I'm not sure what other episodes will be about and if it's even interesting. There seemed to be no point except the storyteller sharing her history struggling with obesity. It didn't seem genuine or even captivating. I feel like I lost an hour plus of my life. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Full of lies. As a doctor myself, I'm absolutely embarrassed by the professional on the show. They are allowing dangerous misinformation to spread. I do not recommend. The law of thermodynamics is quite elementary, and no one person can defy physics. Obesity is certainly a complex issue, and so is lipedema. But Anna's procedures are fueled by money-hungry doctors who rather perform expensive procedures on her and encourage others to do the same than actually address the real issues, the real problems, and follow their better colleagues/science. I'm concerned that future episodes will continue to be poorly researched. Medicine can be life and death. It can also greatly determine the quality of one's life. I'd be ashamed to put my name to this podcast. Yeah, it's pretty eviscerating. Delulu. Anna is a food addict and extremely delusional. No medical mystery here. Put down your fork, big girl. Okay, I love the ambivalent ones. Here we go. I wanted to love it. Anna, when you asked your followers to come over and give you positive reviews, that's what I intended to do. I have to be honest in my review, though. This was over an hour with too much rambling and stumbling over words, and ultimately wasn't so much a medical mystery, but sounded like a search for a physician that would provide an excuse. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, that was... Whew. Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry. I wish I could say something else. I wish I could say I got something else out of it. I'll listen again next time, though, and give it another chance, as this was the first one and so personal for you. I like the idea, but I think the presenter needs to be a medical professional that helps the patient tell their story. I wish you the best, though. The ambivalent ones are always the best. Okay. First step, misstep. I believe the show would have more credibility by being led by Dr. Nance to ask questions and explore versus the co-host Anna, who has no medical authority but a vested interest in driving her own narrative, giving out quote-unquote information. If the doctor led the discussion, honestly, the show would have had more interest and seemed more reliable. As a person with stage 5 crippling lipedema, my experience has definitely been different from Anna's, and it just feels like false self-aggrandizement. I've watched her for years, and even when she found out she had lipedema, she didn't first try medical-grade compression or manual liquid drainage massages. I don't believe she was doing it behind the scenes, as she literally shared everything else, and flare-ups, quote-unquote, definitely present much differently than explained. Please use more Dr. Nance in the future. I think there's a lot of valid criticism. There is some, hate on here, But I think there is legit, complaints. I'm going to have to read this positive one. We're going to read this one. It looks a little bit FA-ish. Get real. 1 star. This podcast is somewhat confusing because it contains some medical misinformation. It seems that Anna's condition is caused by overeating, which she has discussed at length on her YouTube channel and blog, but denies overeating here. So weird. I so agree with that. That was one of the first things I said. I was like, I'm wondering if she's going to talk about her E followed by the letter D, because she is literally talking about it. It's like, girl, you have it on YouTube. And she didn't. Stupid. She attributes all her illnesses to these, quote, rare obesity genes, even though nothing is known about the genes. Thank you. That's true, too. That was so frustrating at the end. I was dying when I was filming that. I was like, what the hell? I wish the co-host, Dr. Nance, had brought some actual knowledge about obesity to the table. Let's see this one. A winding and satisfying road. 5 stars. When you're fat, everyone thinks they know what you should do, and when that doesn't work or gives you minimal results, it can be incredibly difficult. To hear Anna's story, the disbelief of others, the damage done, and finally some answers was captivating and inspiring. Oh my gosh. So I've told you guys a lot. People who have E followed by the letter D, they often reinforce it in each other. And this person in the audience is reinforcing it in Anna, and Anna is reinforcing it in this person in the audience. So you can see it happening. Totally blatant. Terribly misleading, lacking real medical research. Oh my God. I'm shocked that anecdotal stories are presented as real medical facts. This is misleading and deceptive. And where in the long dissembling tale of Anna's story was the medical mystery, quote unquote, solved? The answer is an unknown, mega rare, unheard of, quote unquote, obese gene that magically caused someone to carry 650 pounds of weight. I guess it can't possibly be overeating. No way. It's got to be a mystery gene. These detectives need to go back to the police academy. Shame on the MD who is leaning into people's delusions. Whatever happened to do no harm? Yeah, it's bad. Very bad. Okay. Loaded with medical misinformation. The information about lipedema being unburnable fat is factually incorrect, as are many of the other points Ms. O'Brien reports. Very interesting. I definitely do need to watch the documentary you guys were talking about. I have it on my list. I'm going to. I will throughout January. And I will probably at least make a video because I think it's really long. So I'm going to probably do at least a video where I talk about my thoughts on the whole thing throughout daily January. Okay. Oh my God. Ignore the haters. This is 5 stars. This is a great podcast. I'm so happy Anna was open and brave and shared her story with us. Some have chosen to write bad reviews here because they are fat phobic and just want to spew hate out into the world. It's sad their lives are so bad. They have to try and take others down. I hope they get help. Oh gosh. I'm just going to leave that one for you guys. I just wanted to got to throw in a little bit of spice for you guys. Okay. Oh my God. Just going to look a little bit more. Okay. I want to see how much was left. Okay. Filled with lies and misinformation. Anna's history from 2013 to now is online, and in this podcast, she completely rewrites her own documented history, penned by her own hand via her social media and her blog. Horrible. Horrible strategy, Anna. Really stupid. And the doctor allowed her to spout medical misinformation without any fact-checking. Disappointed and does not compare to the brilliant work by Docs Who Lift or Dr. Rente's The Obesity Guide. Interesting. Any fool can start a podcast. Anna O'Brien is a 40-year-old woman who will do absolutely anything to avoid taking accountability for her own morbid obesity, including starting a podcast, it seems. The inaugural episode featured Anna crying about how the universe conspires against her to make her fat. She talked over her co-host, an actual doctor, and instead of invoking her co-host's medical expertise, Anna used the entirety of the podcast to share her own delusional woe is me story. It's facts, honestly. There is nothing that requires detective work here. She's consistently out-eaten every medical intervention. Yes, 100%. That was intended to get her weight in check. Anna shows no aptitude for interviewing, giving thoughtful feedback, or engaging in meaningful dialogue. So I can't imagine where this podcast will go now that Anna has already talked about and exhausted her favorite subject, herself. I have to say, there is a part of me with a super morbid curiosity of what it will be like with somebody else on there and how she'd actually do, just from a media standpoint. But I don't know if I can bear it, because this one was really bad. It was hard. I'm not gonna lie, you guys. I'm glad you guys enjoyed me listening to it, but it was, I think I was okay until the end, and the end was just such a jumping of the shark moment. I am oh no, honey. Ooh no. It was bad. The end was horrendous, in my opinion. It was just horrendous. Not so much back and forth, was just one lady's story with hardly no questions asked or any input from the other gal. It felt very much like a soliloquy. I wish it was more of a conversation. Oh my God. Let's see. Yeah, that's all the negative ones. I don't know if there's any other ones. I feel like a lot of the positive ones are just kind of what you would expect. But yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will get back to you guys tomorrow. Let me know what you think about these reviews. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a little bit of tea. So I'll see you guys later. Peace.